which is why I'm handwriting stuff right now. Roll call, we have Erin here, Amanda, present, Dustin, Betsy, Donna, Laura. I'm gonna just remember this. So we'll start off with the 4K3 old business. The first thing on the agenda was the playground committee update. And Tom was nice enough to send us this amazing email where the district apparently has found funding for playground equipment. So CHAMPS will readdress its focus to more specialized equipment that may be needed at each school.
Wow, I had no idea.
So, can you read that email? Or I'll read it.
I was gonna say,
you guys take notes. So I don't know if everybody's seen this, but this really made my day today when she sent me this. Okay. Oh, you sent that to me personally. There
Yep.
we go. Okay. So this isn't the.
it's not the whole
It's
email.
not the whole
it's
email, but
gist
you'll
of
get
it
it. So this was from Tom.
in the
A few
beginning of March.
weeks, a couple weeks ago. So it says, good news. Last week during a budget review at the school board meeting, Tim Prunty explained that there are unexpected dollars due to the adjustments made by the school district to mitigate the spread of COVID. With this in mind, Tim suggested to the elementary principals that funds be set aside for playground equipment. An amount of $25,000 has been earmarked for equipment at each school. On Monday of this week, an inspection was conducted by the school district insurance company. A summary will be prepared for our review. We learned that the main piece of equipment at East is rated for ages 2 to 5, suitable for 4K. North does not have any equipment rated for ages 2 to 5. The old Head Start facility has playground equipment that has been offered to the school district. It is newer equipment that could be installed at North and East. At this time, West is not recommending any new equipment. The availability of the district funds would allow for the purchase of a nice piece of equipment at both East and North. We would like to talk to CHAMPS about other possible projects, additional swings, and a sandbox. And then it says, we hope to have more information to share, and then the email's cut off. But the gist is, it looks like there's progress, and the district is gonna help fund some of it, so that's freaking awesome.
Right.
I about jumped out of my chair today.
And I do have an additional information for update as well.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so Tom and I did go over to Head Start, but then later realized that that equipment was sold with. So can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm echoing for some reason. So that smaller equipment that's suited for 4K is not available from Head Start any longer. It's already been sold. So that's not accessible to either Tom or I. Also, Tom did send an email to Rachel, Heather, and I that he wasn't able to make today's meeting and just really wanted me to share some additional information. So our understanding, which we haven't really looked at funds exactly, but is correct that we're going to be allocating some funds to the playground with some of our pooled leftover building budget.
Dustin, turn it back up. I don't know if she's echoing on your end, but she's not echoing on our end.
Okay, I'm not echoing anymore, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so some of the funds will come from our pooled unexpended budget money, and then approximately about $25,000 per school. Earlier, Rachel said that she wasn't in need of playground equipment, but she is in need. The slide at West did need to be removed per the insurance audit, and she is requesting some additional playground equipment as well.
Okay.
The slide of death. Sorry, go on.
Well, and I was just gonna say, when I read that email about West not needing any or whatever, I was going to really at least question it and say, are you sure there's nothing you want? Come on, if they're giving us some money, it wouldn't seem fair that you guys don't get anything out of it if
so we have about $50,000 for the 3 buildings, and so Tim is asking if there's any contributions available from CHAMPS, or if we're able to do any fundraising for that.
Yeah.
So if we could kind of talk through that.
Right, that was going to be the plan, is that we were going to do some fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's on the agenda, but I wanna talk about the cartridges for kids thing. That was gonna be something I think that we had talked about going directly to the playground to fund.
Yep.
And stuff like that, so I think we were still planning on that, Donna. This helps jumpstart it, I guess.
Yeah.
Knowing that that's available.
Yeah, I think the general plan was that we would try reaching out and doing some type of fundraiser, TBD, based off of the committee. The cartridges for kids was another one that we were gonna allocate all those funds to the playgrounds. And when we were talking about doing music in the park, which is updated that we are doing music in the park, but we still need to figure out exactly what's going on, because originally it was supposed to be pies for playgrounds.
Yep.
And that was gonna go.
And we were gonna look at grant money and stuff like that, and going
Mhm.
around to local businesses, and that type of thing.
Yeah, and
We
so
had all
all of
been
it's still
looking
on the table, but like this is good headway from where we were in the beginning of the year.
Right. Do you know, Donna, is there a certain time frame that money needs to be used by, or no?
We are looking at, because it's our current building budget funds and like allocating, it's money allocated for this year. We're looking at starting to get something
Okay.
for next year. So using
Okay.
the funds so that we have something extra at each playground before next year. Like at North right now, with it being with COVID and having to cohort, we have our students divided because grade levels cannot, intermix. And so we have one grade on one side, which all we have is swings over there. So I'm looking for playground equipment to start on that side of the playground, which is the east side of the playground, just because we have nothing else over there.
Right.
And like I said, everything at North is, or maybe it was said in that email from Tom, that it's not rated for our 4-year-olds. So we're looking at starting with some type of a playground equipment that would be accessible to 4-year-olds.
All right.
And our 4-year-olds, I mean, off the record, but still on the record, they do, access it. It's just not rated for them.
Right, yeah.
Understandable.
Kids will be kids, they'll play on all kinds of things that they're not supposed to.
Yes. So what action plan should we have for this? Just follow up with Tom and start getting the committee together?
I'm kind of thinking, yeah, that we need to probably jumpstart that.
Okay.
Any thoughts from you guys?
Are there any current funds that you are thinking of allocating to the playground, or is it just additional funds that would be raised?
So actually, we're gonna kind of bounce around the agenda, but all of the elementary administrators agreed that the readathon funds should go half towards the school forest and half towards the playground equipment. So we do have $1,767.50 to go towards the playground right now, earmarked.
So not a lot, but a little bit. I mean, that was the start of our,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good for a readathon fundraiser. I mean, I'm just
and for it only being half the money too.
Right.
Yeah.
so.
Is that including the $221 I
It
gave you?
is, because I had to auto-calculate it. That's why I had you put it into that specific account this morning.
So we found, I got an email from Jen at East, was it yesterday or the day before, saying that they found some of the readathon fundraiser had gotten put in the CHAMPS mailbox instead of being turned in at the office. So she said I picked it up on Tuesday and deposited that money. It was $221 or whatever from one of their 4K classes, I think it was.
$221.
Yeah, so.
Can confirm. While we're on the topic of money again, not to bounce around too terribly much, but we just had a conversation about getting the invoice for the books that were purchased at West, so we're gonna follow up on that. Donna, I did drop off your check for your PBIS night at central office today. So that's out there as well.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Okay, so then going back to the playground, are we done talking about the playground stuff for now? Do you want me to follow up with Tom?
I would say follow up with Tom and let's figure out how to best utilize our resources. Like we had that whole list of parents that were interested in helping CHAMPS, but maybe not necessarily attending a meeting. And I think that that's something that most parents could get behind, rallying for that type of thing.
Right, okay. Okay, I'll follow up with Tom then. And I'll put all the administrators and all of us on there.
Okay,
Um,
that sounds perfect.
okay.
So just going down the agenda, we'll move on from the playground. Does anybody need snacks for your schools?
Not
No,
private.
North has quite a bit of snacks still.
I feel like COVID severely impacted this snack situation.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like because we have breakfast in the classroom,
Yeah.
all students are, I would say more students are eating breakfast. And I don't know, I guess we still have a few that are coming in late, but they're still able to really get those breakfast items.
Well, the breakfast items are prepackaged, so we're able to set aside
Yep.
what's left there for snacks for kids for later too, so they're not going to the office as much, so.
Okay. So question, we got an email saying that next year in-person learning is going to be the only option for the district. Do you know if the district plans on continuing to do that? Because it seems like it's kind of working out in the benefit of all the children
With the breakfast?
with the breakfast.
So we briefly just spoke about that in an admin meeting recently, and it is at the elementary. We are looking at continuing the breakfast in the classroom. Lunch may be a discussion time still, but many of us are, we want to talk with our teachers too, but we are hoping to keep breakfast in the classroom.
Awesome.
I know my kids love it because they always ask me, Mom, what's for breakfast at school? Because then they decide if they're going to eat at school or if they're going to eat at home. So, it was mini donuts today, mini chocolate donuts. So they all both opted to eat at school today. So
Nice. So moving on from the snacks, next was the Scholastic update. We know that West purchased their books and we're going to be refunding that purchase. And I don't know, are we actually on camera somewhere?
Yes, I can see you.
We just can't
You
see
can see me.
ourselves.
Well, I can see you barely. You're off to the side. I can see you really good. Yeah, so now I can see you.
it's probably pointed.
So
Me and Laura probably.
I just want to point this out. All the students at West made us these, the second graders.
That's the second graders there
The
in that
second
picture.
graders made us this wonderful packet of thank yous.
And then the other classes are next to you.
And
That's another second grade there.
another second grade,
And that's a first grade.
first grade, big card. Thank you.
And the green one and the big one are kindergarten, and then the other little one is a third grade.
So yeah, I just wanted to share because I think this is awesome. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we get to look at.
Yeah, we get to actually look at them.
So so North ordered theirs, right?
No, we haven't ordered our books. I have put in the last couple of memos for teachers to order them, and they would use a P card, and then we'd ask for the reimbursement from CHAMPS. And I will be touching base with the teachers again, and I will be ordering any of the ones that haven't been ordered yet. And then we'll get you that funding request for reimbursement.
No, I was just gonna say, I wish Tom was here so we could ask about East.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know about East.
Oh, well, we still have the money earmarked for them anyway, so it shouldn't matter, right? It's just whether they did or not.
We will follow up with Tom on that, just to see where it's at. We kind of sort of went over the readathon. Donna, you were the only one that gave me a list of like students with the teachers. So sorry.
What do you need?
So in the
I also had a question regarding that, because I haven't really identified which class is the winning, because we had some classes that donated more, but then I had some classes that read more. Like, so not sure if it's based on the donation or if it was really based on the minutes.
super funny because we had this conversation.
We weren't sure either.
Yep, Aaron, me, and Jordan. And based off of the note that went out, we identified the most number of read minutes. So it wasn't the highest amount that was raised, it was the most read minutes, so, right?
Yeah, I think that's what you said. Based on how the letters were worded and how it went out is, the most minutes read.
Yeah, and I take responsibility for this because in the haste to go out, I didn't even think about putting like, oh, hey, classroom teacher on the information. So it made it really difficult. Like I have a list of children's names.
Well, if you want to send me a list of West names, I'll get you a name of a teacher in no time at all.
Perfect.
And my student did make his 1,500 minute mark.
So
really?
it was your student and then his sister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She read 500 some minutes as a 4K.
Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
So going back to number of minutes versus money, does that mean then? So we were talking about doing certificates or something, right? Or was it all kids or over a certain number of minutes?
I think we were gonna do them for all kids, but have them leveled.
Maybe that's what it
So
was.
like, superstar reader would be over 1,000 minutes. Great reader, you know what I mean? Like, we haven't really sussed it out per se, and you know, lessons learned for next year. Because then we'll have everything ready and we can do it again, and kind of make sure that it doesn't fall during another type of fundraiser. Because I know the middle school had almost 2 back-to-back fundraisers in the middle of the readathon. So what do you guys think about? We left it really vague, just so that we had wiggle room since we threw it together in a week. So what would you suggest as a prize for your classroom that had the most read minutes?
Laura, what are your suggestions?
I don't know what the parameters are with COVID, but food's always good.
Yep.
So maybe it's a prepackaged thing, maybe it's like an ice cream bar, or maybe it's
Ice cream bars sound awesome.
they're prepackaged.
Donna, what do you think? We were thinking ice cream bars. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Ice cream bars and certificates.
Right, the
Maybe we could
certificates
get
go to all of them.
Maybe we could get a big bag of candy from like Sam's Club, and then like pop a piece of candy onto the certificate too. Lollipops, something. End of the day. Give the certificates out at the end of the day.
Yeah, I do that.
That would be fine. That would help be a promotion for next year, because I really did like this fundraiser.
I think it did. really well considering how fast we put it together.
Right. And it was something we've never done before, so.
Right.
And so what, for the elementary schools, it would have been what, about $3,500? Around, you said it was 17?
35.
So, I mean, that's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah,
Do you want, how do you want to do the candy? Do you want me to pick up candy, or do you want to pick up candy? I have a Sam's Club account, I can order it and it will be delivered.
why don't you do that?
All right.
Because then I don't have to drive over there. 'Cause I hate doing that.
See, I don't have any appointments if I'm coming in Wausau, but yeah, I can order it. Okay, I'll look it up and see what I can find.
Yeah, I do like lollipops and stuff like thing.
Dum-dums, you
Yep,
can get them in bulk usually.
perfect.
And you're doing the certificates, Amanda?
Yep, I'll make the certificates. And I'll send you guys a proof of them before we confirm like, hey, this is good, bad, indifferent.
Okay, so then, just to confirm, ice cream bars for the winning class at each school?
At each school
Okay.
for elementary.
Hi.
So maybe we could do the same thing here. We're talking about the readathon and how we didn't really suss anything specific out. The classroom with the most read minutes is the one that wins. Our idea is to give that classroom ice cream bars, and then also make certificates for every student that participated, and we're gonna pop on like a lollipop or something onto the certificate. We're gonna tier them as like excellent, exceptional, outstanding readers based off of whatever tier level they were in. Like if you read 50 minutes, that's the baseline, 500, 1,000, 2,000.
Yeah, whatever.
I think the highest was 15.
So how would you do that for middle school? Because 4 and 5, there was a classroom of 6 and 7. Just they're a language arts teacher.
That's a great
Was
question.
there multiple? There'd be like 6 classes to add in. But we can talk about it later. And then one thing with ice cream sandwiches, have an option of popsicle just in case you have a lactose intolerance to it.
Good
Didn't we do that last year when we had ice
We
cream?
did.
Freezy prompt or something.
I almost said the word pizza, but you can't, that's not prepackaged, so I didn't say that.
I was also thinking
You
pizza
can't do
party.
what?
Pizza party.
Pizza.
Why can't you?
But I don't know, could be, I didn't know what the rules were, so I didn't say pizza.
We do pizza here. We've done pizza for Friday.
Generally, the rules have been that you just can't do it at lunchtime because we have to offer that free lunch, so that they get all of the food. I don't know.
Yeah, that,
What we did with our pizza part, they did some pizza, we did some incentives, and we did it after their lunch, like right before they left, they kind of had it in their class.
well, that I wasn't worried about, we've done that all the time, but I wasn't sure if it's okay, like if the teacher just serves it.
Yes,
if
have your
that's-
gloves and have
yeah.
your napkins and plates and be good with it, you can do that.
So I would vote for either, cause I'm fine with that.
Pizza and pajamas. I used to love coming to school in my pajamas.
So you guys can see how you want to do it, I would say
Yeah,
either
Little
one.
Caesar $5 pizza, that's really cheap.
Yeah, I know, right? You'll save a lot of money if you do the
Or
pizza.
what if we give each class, the winning classroom, the choice, ice cream or pizza?
Sure.
Right, we're only talking the 3 elementaries.
Either way,
and
somebody's
then-
gonna deliver it or pick it up though,
Well, yeah,
so it doesn't matter.
All right. Do we have any further things to talk about for the readathon?
The only other thing I would think about with that is if you had a remote student who's still maybe remote and they're part of that class, they should get something, right? So just think about that. I don't know if they should or not, but I just want to, that's just one more rare caveat to these things.
For us, because our remote students are on our roster, but they're not really a part of our class, I wouldn't worry about.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, you guys are different.
I wouldn't worry about elementary, but I would certainly
Yeah.
connect with it middle school.
Yeah.
I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, I don't know if we got any remote.
I was, yeah, how would that have gotten to them? Elementary
We have
level.
trouble with them picking up things. I don't think anybody.
Okay, yeah, you guys don't need to worry about it.
So I think we went through everything for 4K3 that needed to be gone over. Is there anything, I don't have any new business, I didn't get any requests. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to add to the agenda?
Hold on, we didn't cover all of it, did we?
Yep. The Wild About Reading is this. The PBIS is the update.
Well, Wild
that I
About
gave
Reading
Donna.
isn't quite the same.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then we didn't.
And what's the quarter reward fund?
That was the check that I delivered for Donna.
Oh! Okay, I didn't know what that was.
I don't know if you guys were necessarily involved in the right Wild About Reading, but what Wild About Reading was the bedtime stories.
Oh, that's
My kids freaking loved that, by the way. So kudos to you guys for thinking of that, and they would definitely be a proponent for you guys doing that again next year.
We had over 100 attendees every single night,
That is awesome.
and it just gave us absolute goosebumps.
Yeah.
And it is in the works of keeping it going in some way or form, even if it's just once a month. So yeah.
Yeah. My daughter was really bummed she couldn't do the first night because she had dance until 6:30, and that's when it started.
Mhm.
She was she wanted to skip dance. I'm like, you can't skip dance just because they're doing bedtime stories at 6:30. I'm like,
Yeah, our
trust
title,
me, you'll get to do it Tuesday, Wednesday.
the Title I teacher at West, Kim Zielinski, is the one that came up with the idea and organized it, and she was just blown away by the participation. So it was really, really awesome.
I thought that was really
And
cool idea.
all the kids were just sitting there eating their little snacks that went along with it, and it really, really, really turned out fantastic.
Well, and honestly, I even thought, for the next time you guys do it, maybe that's something where we as CHAMPS could help with too, as help read a story or something like that.
We would
Now, I
like
don't
the,
know how you practice them or whatever, but
well, every
I'd be-
school
I'd
did
be
it
up
a
for
little
that.
differently. I mean, we did kind of like a reader's theater at West, where each person played a part and read it. But we were working on trying to get one going with the public library and staff there, and then we would like to see if we could get CHAMPS or parents or community members to Zoom in and read aloud also. So yes, we have a lot in the works that has gone so well and so well received that we want to do a lot more with it in the future.
right, or maybe even part of, some members off the school board or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Sprague or,
Because we had a lot of people for our bookshelf, which was they pre-recorded reading a book and then we put it on a virtual bookshelf. But maybe we could get them to also, since we have Zoom and everything now, that we could get the bedtime stories. I mean, it didn't take much time and it was so powerful with the kids, so.
Perfect. That was something that I was gonna bring up.
about the bedtime stories.
It's just gone. I really did have something.
Oh, that's okay. I was talking too much.
No, because that's what jump started it in the first place.
So how much money did we actually end up raising for the,
School forest.
yeah,
So that's another thing is I don't know. I know that if you look at the email that I sent out, I never, besides the checks that you got an updated check from, there were like 5 or 6 different students that said that like grandparents were mailing in money. I haven't gotten anything about that at all.
The one student from Washington State that was getting something to send to West,
Mm-hmm.
that is at West, but it was in a check written out to West, so she was cashing it and going to get it to you.
Oh, okay.
So that one I know about is moving forward. You should be seeing it
Perfect.
very soon if you already have it. So that one I know is here.
Yeah, so that's why all the funding was kind of tabled for this meeting, so that way we could touch base, and obviously I didn't do that. Donna, do you have anything at your school? No? We know that East is done, and now we'll have to do West.
Yeah, those two or one, I don't know if it came in one check or two, but anyway, it's here. I saw Rachel had it and she was cashing it.
Okay.
So.
Heather, you didn't have any students that had like will mail in check or whatever, so you don't have to
Okay,
worry about that.
we would have got it to you guys.
So how much can we switch to the middle school one?
Yeah.
How much did the middle school raise for the school board sweater?
Was
1,800 was it?
it was $1,163.40.
Okay. So between the two, then about just under $3,000.
Just under $3,000.
Cool.
Which I'm kind of flabbergasted at how fast we put it together and how much we actually raised. So that's awesome.
And maybe it would help next time if we do that to couple it with like the bedtime story type thing or something like that, you know, kids can put that down. for
Count the
minutes.
reading minutes, yeah.
Count the reading minutes, you know?
Yeah.
and maybe explain it a little better. I feel like based off of the responses that we got, some parents were confused by what it was, because it's supposed to be like, almost like a walkathon pledge.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people put down like the total number of minutes for everybody, which is the way that a walkathon works. And then other parents were like, oh, okay, they read 100 minutes, so this person's paying for 25 minutes, this person's paying for 25 minutes. I'm like, oh, you really shortchanged yourself there, but okay.
And then there was my daughter's, which the one wasn't reading. So then I'm like, well, I'll pay you 25 cents per minute. And then she reads, so I pay like $50 for, because then she reads a whole bunch in a couple of days. But hey, at least she read.
Well, I had a parent that asked me, and I'm like, well, it kind of depends on what you're willing to pay. I mean, you could say to your kid, you're going to read, for instance, 100 minutes, I'll give you $25. Or you can say 10 cents a minute. I said, be careful what you pledge. It adds up quickly.
Yep. Well, and then I didn't bring this up to you guys when we were having our conversation about the minutes, but there were quite a few kids that had like outstanding reading minutes that had 0 pledges.
Oh, really?
So it was like,
really?
there was a student that had over 600 minutes read and no pledges.
You
So
should give us a chippy. Is that what you're getting?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I would say that
yeah.
some of those came from North, and some were even turned in without parent signatures, and you could tell that the students wrote, filled it out. We accepted the ones even without or parent signatures, even the ones without pledges.
Validating
they did
their
the
work.
work.
Yeah, validating their work.
And that's why
And they should-
that's why we talked about, okay, we need to do something with the certificates then or something, because
Mhm.
these kids still tried, it's just,
Oh yeah, they
They
put
did.
in the effort, they deserve a reward.
right, of some sort, yeah.
So, just something to think about for next year, because like, if all of a sudden there are some that don't have pledges, maybe we could.
Oh, yeah, well, you got teachers that would jump on board with that, but I think we're just turning in stuff, and maybe it didn't, I totally would jump on board for any child to
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter was talking about. I know you got the shout out for Mrs. Woods, but she was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do a reading thing inside of the classroom, and Mrs. Woods is gonna get people to donate money." I'm like, "Okay, sure, Layla, okay." And then when I opened up the packet, I was like, "Oh my god, you like really went to friends and family and got them to donate for the students. That's awesome. Like, way to go the extra mile." Which is something that I can totally see you doing too.
Yeah, that's cool, good idea.
So, that's all I
Okay.
had for elementary.
Anything else for the middle school?
For the middle school, I just had Scholastic update and readathon, which were the previous ones. Just seeing where that's at, and then something that I didn't put on here was, I know last meeting we talked about how CHAMPS can best support the middle school, and I think that maybe we should schedule like a realignment, like cohort between the CHAMPS officers and then the middle school to try and see how we can best support. Does that sound?
Okay.
Okay.
Shut her up.
I wanna figure out, you know, and it, with restructuring last year and then COVID, and a lot of people don't have time to come to meetings and stuff. I wanna figure out how to tell the kids more, and then maybe to parents more about who this is, because it's like 3 to 4 parents, 1 to 2 representatives from a school. We do all of this work. We gave kids 3 books, and I had to explain who CHAMPS was. Of course, if I could have said PTO, that would have been a whole lot easier, but I get why we've got it, because everybody, you know, the old fashioned way of what PTO is. But I just feel like we're doing all of this really awesome work, making money and doing that, but I still don't think people have a complete understanding of what this is or who this is.
I think we can definitely do a better job marketing ourselves.
I love that you are now, you've got a corner of the newsletter, so that's awesome. So, but I also want a positive, today we went to the movies. And so your $1 a kid a quarter, $2, what we had done other incentives for first and second quarter. So we took $2 a kid for going to the movies, and we're gonna do $2 for Hats Day. And it was a fantastic experience, and so thank you very much. We had, of course, kids that had never been to a movie theater, and then it was Tom and Jerry, and the whole question is, so how come the people were real and the animals were all cartoons? And I'm like, oh golly, I'm not a cinematographer, so I don't really know how to explain all this to you. But anyway, it was a fantastic experience, and you know, we haven't gone anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
we got to do that as a school, and it was fantastic. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think,
Oh, this made my day too.
right, there's been a lot of ups for today. So, you know. But yeah, I
Maybe
do
what we
think,
should do is take a picture of this and get it on Dojo. Because if we're talking about positive marketing, this is a great positive marketing piece, right?
Get on
You
the
guys should be
website.
you should be using Dustin, sending him stuff to put on the Facebook page or to the school website, and then he can also send it over to the social media too. So there's just a lot that's not getting done, right? And that's not just in this thing.
It doesn't take long, but also you have to stop and do it. So,
right,
you know,
It
I
has
have
to be
trouble
a
with too
flow.
getting stuff on Dojo. It's just, so.
So just kind of going along with this, as a district perspective, we do family engagement surveys at each school, and we're closing tomorrow. So in the survey, there are 2 questions directly toward CHAMPS, and we've done this for the last 3 years. But I wanted to make you guys aware of it because it goes right along with what we're talking about. So like last year when we did the survey, as Raymond's closed down, so that it was pretty insignificant numbers that were turned in because of that. So the 2 questions that refer to CHAMPS, which then I will turn over, and we only put that on the 4K3 at each building and the middle school. We didn't put this question obviously on the high school one. It says, have you attended or listened to a recorded session of our district parent / caregiver group called CHAMPS? It's yes or no. And then the next question would be, if you answered no to the above question, please tell us how we can help you become more involved. So I'll get you those responses
Perfect.
for the next meeting. And maybe that can guide some of the conversations. I do feel like, I think we kind of talked about it too, like when we did this, like where does that feel for your school? Because you still want a family bond at your school. And this year we just weren't able to get to that. I was thinking about that a lot too. Like this year was just like, we couldn't do a whole lot.
Right.
But what we did was really significant, right? So
And
I know that's
maybe,
kind of a
maybe in the future, if we are open back up again or whatever, maybe the meetings are rotated around from
That's what
different
we talked about
elementary
last
schools or whatever, and we could get more people to come to them or something. But it was just like, well, who gave us these books? And then even the parents are like, who gave us these books? And I felt like I was writing a lot to explain about who you are. And so then I'm thinking somehow we need to get to the information about who you are and what you're doing, because as a PTO, you're doing a lot. It's just that I don't think people understand.
well, and maybe, yeah, And I'm horrible with this myself, you know, taking pictures and marketing,
Right.
you know, with
Right.
that type of, I'm horrible with that kind of stuff. But, you know, maybe we just need to make more of an effort for next year. You know, making sure we put out something at the beginning of the year that says, this is what we are. Maybe it's a half a page thing and not, you know, the
Yeah.
brochures and stuff like
I
that.
think the
Something that's
brochure
not
is
so,
overwhelming.
right, that people just, and throw it away, you know?
Or maybe
Or we
you're
put,
more
or
like,
we have a little CHAMPS corner in the school newsletters and stuff like that. Much like I keep saying I want to do for box tops and haven't taken the effort to do that yet either.
but, you know, I've got that picture that I took. And so maybe it's less about who you are, even though that's a part of it, but more about what you do,
What we do. Yep.
like Optimus. You know, less about who you are and more about what you do.
And
Would be.
putting things, maybe even in the newspaper and stuff like that, you know, pictures and that type of thing. Doing stuff with, okay, when we send the money for the school florist, you know, we've taken pictures before with the kids giving that Mr. Wordio the money.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing.
But we're gonna be doing that soon, so we can do it again, you know?
Right, exactly. And just,
I had some
we need
goofballs
like a
on that.
PR person. I'm just not that type of person.
I'm definitely not gonna be a PR person.
I'm not either. I take pictures all the time and don't get them on Dojo, but I keep trying. And it's really fast and easy and I still don't do it.
Right.
Thank you for all you guys do.
Thank you.
I got one more topic quick before
Yeah,
we leave.
yeah. No, I'm not really
It's
in a
not on the
hurry.
agenda, but, I didn't realize everybody else left already.
Yeah, it's on the left, but that's okay.
Anyway, okay, so that cartridges for kids thing, I need some feedback. Because you had asked about, there was a parent asking about
Stephanie
that.
asked me about it, yep.
So, I printed off, there's some different flyers and stuff like that, but there's, on all of them, it's drop items off at. You know, okay, so if we're going to do this, basically we collect cell phones, laser and inkjet cartridges, laptops, iPods, tablets, e-readers, notebooks, iPads, and then we send them in and we get paid for them. And everything, depending on how old it is and whether it's working or not, there's different prices for them. They've changed their shipping guidelines a little bit, that anything I send in has to have at least a minimum of $15 worth of things in it. So I have to go through, if it's a cell phone, I have to look on the price list and see how much it is. And I have to box things to make sure that there's at least $15 in there. Otherwise, we don't get paid for it because they use it for the shipping costs. If they're like the phones and stuff, they need to be factory reset and they need to have the battery charged. Even though batteries may die or whatever, if we send them back and they're not factory reset, we don't get paid for it. So it's little types of things like that it's like, okay, this would be a good exercise for us to do, but there might be a little bit more work than what I was originally anticipating.
So the other question would be, I used to collect cartridges for the Antigo High School band.
Yep.
And I can't remember what the group was, but there were specific cartridges they would take and some that they wouldn't. Well, I didn't take the time to figure it out. I didn't realize, that was so I literally took all the cartridges that they gave me and I had quite a boxing system and I'd box them all up and I'd send them. And then I was put on notice to not send everything because, they just have to just deposit them on the other end. And so I'm wondering if there would be only a list of certain cartridges that would be,
And they do have the list.
The list is, you know what I mean? So you could say laser jet printer XYZ. I don't know if this is a laser jet printer.
See-
Where's the tag,
Right, exactly. So they list it by ink, the number, the cartridges, it's like HP 63. If that's your cartridge number, yes, we can recycle. And the thing is these price lists are freaking, they're like hundreds of pages. I've printed them out once on accident.
yep, I know what you're talking about.
Just
Yeah.
like cell phones and stuff like that. They're all on there, but it'll be fairly time consuming. So
Yeah.
I actually have 4 boxes of stuff at home that our previous lady gave to me and said, here, send these in. Well, then when I actually looked at the shipping guidelines, I'm like, I can't send these boxes in without going through all of this stuff. She's got printers in there, which again, if I take and send it in, it's going to negate any money that we're just going to make off of it because they don't accept it. They don't accept printers themselves. They take the print cartridges. You know, so I have to go through, and I mean, the stuff is, I just need to take time to go through it. But the other thing is I have we have the box top containers at school right now. Box tops are all electronic now, for the most part, except for the few that you still find.
Yeah.
That could come in a baggie. So what if I take those boxes that I have at the elementary schools, and I could even bring one here at the middle school, and just put the recycling thing on it, you know, that we put the stuff in there. But those containers aren't that big. And if people start putting iPads and phones and stuff in there, do we have to worry about people walking off with them?
Well, you should have it in the office. It shouldn't be that big a deal. But something's gonna happen, I can guarantee you that, but it's not like all of it.
Well, right, you know, it was one of the, like, would that be okay?
Anything's
Teachers
fine.
be okay with that if I said that they could send them to school and then you put them in the box?
I don't think
It's
that,
a
I would
box in
have a
the
problem
office,
with
not their
that.
classroom.
That wouldn't bother me at all.
Okay.
The biggest part is getting it explained well enough so people understand.
Right, like I
Because-
looked at these pamphlets that they have and it says, okay, yeah, they take cell phones, laser, you know, but it doesn't tell them on here, okay, non-working electronics, items with no power, bad LCD, they can't be locked, and stuff like,
Just
you
so
know,
you know,
those
You're
things
gonna
that
get
need
a
to
lot
be
of
done.
stuff then that's not gonna be okay, we have to deal with it. That's another thing.
Well,
Like,
right,
people
that's-
aren't gonna read all that stuff.
No.
No, this is in the shipping guidelines, it's not on any of
Right.
the pamphlets
So
that
once you
say
get
that they have
everything-
to, you know, at least if they could factory reset it. You know, some people know
I
how to
don't
do that,
think
some people know,
most people will.
So
Some people
here's
don't.
Something to think about is there's a lot in the listing itself that we could do, but maybe we should
Dummy it down.
identify like
certain things.
5 or 6 items.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, electronics, cell phones,
Yeah.
iPads, blah, blah, blah. Okay, print cartridges, X, Y, Z.
Yep.
Yep.
And then whatever.
The other thing too with the print cartridges, some of these, you could get they don't even have to have a kid, like a lot of times a company or something like,
Oh, right.
oh, we love to, because we did this with
The
the
ones,
gas company, AmeriGas. If you turn in, like when Mattoon was open, the whole district had a pot where like you turned in your gas company bill, whatever, from AmeriGas, they give us money back. I mean, it's like doing nothing.
Right.
People just have to turn in their slips.
right,
And then we just got money like once or twice a year. And it was like $500 here and there with like nobody even doing anything.
Mhm.
right.
And that went to the district.
Right. Depending upon which cartridges, the wheelchair van company go through a boatload of cartridges in their printers for whatever they do there.
Right.
I used to carry out of their boxes when they would donate it to the band. But I cannot tell you if they were always ones that were on the list.
Right, yep.
But I do know, and then for some reason.
The police department is where the old lady used to get, the other
Mhm.
lady used to get them from, and she still gets them. They call her occasionally and she goes and gets them, and then she calls me and says, here, come pick them up, I got.
Yeah.
Boxes.
Once
Police
they
department
know
has the whole.
Right.
contact, then it's golden.
Right, so I mean, it's, you know, I know there's businesses around here too that we
Yeah.
could use to help that, but I like your idea of maybe skinning down the list and not.
Or if
making
we
it
know
just
whose
everything.
business is there, like we know a couple of the, wheelchair special, whatever, find out what cartridges they have so that they can know what to give us and what not. So if we could get to the small guy.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, so we know your business has them, okay, but we will only take these, then maybe they can say, so everything from this printer give to us, or maybe we can get it so that we know, what people use. But then, sometimes people get new ones, and now we're doing they don't even have the cartridges so much anymore, they've got the bottles or whatever it is.
Yep, and see, it says tubes and ribbons they don't take.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't get mine.
Okay, so maybe what I'll do is I'll email those secretaries and pick up the box top ones, relabel them, put the stuff on, then we can send this out on Dojo and, yeah, whatever.
I mean,
however-
we could put it in our staff lounge or in the office, it's just not in the hallway if you're worried about that, that,
Well, and even if it's in the hallway, it's got a cover on it,
well, right.
so I guess and I'm, right now,
And if it's
right
being
now
turned
during
in, it doesn't
school,
work anyway.
my daughter's she's got tutoring every Friday, so I'm in town, in town on Mondays and Tuesdays, I could just make it a regular thing to stop, you know?
Right,
Maybe it doesn't need to be every week, but,
right.
set myself a schedule and actually stop and pick them up.
But I do like your idea of somewhat limiting. I don't know if we know what people have, or if we see that.
Or
stuff
we could provide a link too, and.
Yeah.
you
We
know,
can see if stuff keeps coming in, then maybe we can learn as we go and say, all right, so those of you that are sending in these, thank you very much. Don't send, I mean, maybe we can start limiting. I don't know how you get to that point.
Right.
And it is gonna, maybe we have to get some people more involved to say, go through there and say, unfortunately, we can't do this and this and this, but it is also an untapped market and could do pretty well, so.
Right, I mean, some of the phones, you know, they're $15, $20 a piece if you turn it in. You know, so again, I got all kinds of them laying at home, all old ones that, you know, all you gotta do is throw them in the box, you know, see how much they.
The batteries have to be charged, so you have to have a charger that fits it to.
It might, I don't remember if it has to be charged, but I seen something with, or maybe maybe they recommended charging it so you could make sure that it was factory reset and that type of thing, you know.
Yeah, that kind of makes more sense.
I do get the factory reset part. I do, not that I know how to do it, but I do get it.
It's usually in the settings and it's usually way at the bottom so that people don't do it on accident. But again, it takes time to go in and do all that, you know.
Mhm.
And again, if they're not charged and you can't get it to turn on, well, do you charge it then to make sure? And maybe I need to ask our rep too, like,
Yeah, actually, ask them what other people do and how they do it.
right, how do people do this? Is this, and what happens if I do send it in because the battery's dead and it turns out it's not factory reset? Okay, well then,
Are we charged because you have to dispose of it or whatever?
right,
Yeah.
okay. All right, well, I'll pick up the totes and get them swapped out. And then
Alright.
I think they could just put on here that they sent them to school, and I'll make sure the
Yeah.
administrators are okay with that and the office ladies.
Well,
That sounds amazing.
You'll have to talk to them.
I think that, you know, the kids bring in the school, just like the box tops and the Campbells and all that stuff beforehand, that is the way to, you know, the way to go.
Okay, so we'll dismiss the meeting at 5:54.
Dustin, we're done.